Today, we review the Corsair 220T RGB Airflow Gaming PC case that in the UK retails at £77. We take a full look over the case, highlighting the good and the bad features of this case. I will then give my verdict on whether you should buy this case. The 220T that currently retails for £77 in the UK looks a premium case with a tempered glass side panel that fully covers the front side of the case. A perforated front for good intake airflow and a full PSU shroud to cover up the PSU and hide your excess cables. The case even comes supplied with 3 SP120 RGB PRO fans from Corsair and the iCUE lighting node core fan controller to control up to 6 Corsair RGB fans. Moving to the front of the case, we see the perforated front to allow for good airflow to the case. The 3 fans at the front are RGB, so light up and give the case better airflow out of the box. The design to me looks stylish and premium, as would be expected at this price point. At the front you can swap out the fans if you need to. You can fit up to 3 120mm fans or 2 140mm fans. All 3 RGB fans that come included with the case are 120mm in size and can be adjusted to whatever position you would like them to be using the sliding rails that you can see. Fitting a 360mm radiator or a 280mm radiator to the front of this case would fit fine. Moving to the top, we have the I/O with a dust filter. The I/O consists of a reset button, a combined mic and headphone jack, 2 USB 3 Type A ports and the power button. This is a bit disappointing not to see an additional USB-C connector here, along with the 2 USB Type A ports, but not many cases have support for a USB-C connector, and the additional cost was clearly put to the fans and the controller for this case. The dust filter can be removed as shown. On the top of the case we can fit 2 120mm fans or 2 140mm fans. As with the front, these are on rails, so positioning the fans is easy. Getting a radiator at the top would be difficult or near impossible with clearance issues, so the only option is a front mounted radiator for this case. Moving to the rear of the case, we can see the cutout for your motherboard I/O and a cutout for the 120mm fan, but the case doesn't come with a pre-installed rear fan. The PCI brackets are all reusable, which is a nice touch but expected from a premium case. Finally, we have the cutout for the ATX power supply. Moving to the underside of the case, we have a dust filter that slides out from the rear under the power supply. It would have been nice to have a dust filter that slides out of the front of the case, but this isn't too big of a deal. The hard drive cage is detachable as shown, if you wish to have more space for cable management or just simply you're not going to use any hard drives in your build. The case has 4 solid feet to lift it off the ground, which will help with airflow. Moving to the back panel side of the case, we can see there is ample room for cable management with lots of tie down points and about 1.5 inches of clearance to hide cables behind the motherboard tray. We have a very large CPU cutout, which is very nice to see, as well as the iCUE lighting node core fan controller that can fit up to 6 Corsair RGB fans. Just to be aware that the controller can only fit the Corsair fans and other brands will not fit with this controller, so you are a bit limited on additional RGB fan options with this case. We have 2 SSD mounts behind the motherboard tray, as well as the removable hard drive cage that can fit 2 3.5-inch drives or 2 2.5-inch drives. We can fit standard ATX power supplies up to 180mm with the hard drive cage installed. If you need more room, you have to remove the hard drive cage. Moving to the front side, we can see a big tempered glass side panel. The case can fit up to an ATX size motherboard, but micro ATX and ITX motherboard sizes are fine too. This case has plenty of cable hiding cutouts that all have grommets, which is nice to see but is expected at this price point. The PSU shroud is the full size and has some ventilation holes too, so your PSU can be mounted face down or face up depending on what you want to do for your build. The case can fit graphics cards up to 300mm in length and CPU coolers up to 160mm. The full size of the case is 450mm by 395mm by 210mm and weighs 6.5 kilograms out of the box. Overall, this case is fantastic value for money, The three SP120 fans and the iCUE fan controller costs about £50 on their own, so to have them pre-installed in the case already really adds a lot of value to the case. The looks of the case are great in my opinion, and the case has a premium build quality. The only downsides for me are it's a little small for a full ATX case, so installing components can take a little planning to get everything to fit, and the price, although good value, is still too expensive for what most gamers are prepared to pay for a case these days. I personally like this case, and if you want a new stylish case for an upcoming PC build, then this is a great option to consider. If you like this review, please like, comment and subscribe. See you guys next time. Take care.